Hello everyone, the 316 here with a tier list video for the Lightning collection. With all of the recent quality control and negative issues with the line recently, I want to take a throwback to a more simpler time. The year of 2020 was a pretty good year for the Lightning collection. A lot of good figures released this year of 2020. And while the year itself may not have been good, the figure releases surprisingly were in most cases. This tier list was made by an at Tommy Lulu 85 on Twitter. I did add this down here as well as change this to the standard S to F tier ranking. These are all ones that are alternate boxes that I do not own. Everything else we'd be taking a look at. I do not own every figure from this year, but I think this is, as far as I know, the most complete year of mine personally. And I will not be ranking the roleplay items. So the Morpher here, as well as the Dragon Dagger from Mighty Morphin. And I don't think there's any more here. Wait, Mighty Morphin White Helmet. There we go. I think that's everything now. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick and choose here. Now I actually started collecting this line at the beginning of 2021, and the first figure I got was Dino Thunder Red. And, Dino Thunder is my favorite season. Red's my favorite color, although green's pretty good. And I do have both the regular box and the Spectrum series box. And I will be including those as the exact same ranking. Oh, there he is down there. I think this figure came out really well, but there's a few things that kind of drop it a few pegs for me. So first of all, the head sculpt isn't that great. The weapons aren't accurately painted. They're too bright of a blue. And there should be a silver element towards the bottom of the blaster that isn't present. It's just blue as well. I feel like the weapons were low effort, but the figure turned out great, minus the alternate helmet. And again, I have the Spectrum box. I'm going to stick that there since it's the same figure, and I do own both of these. I have this guy open, and I have this guy sealed. Okay, next up, let's look at SPD Red. Man, SPD has such a tough time in this line, dude. Like, I'm scared to get yellow, man. God. I think SPD Red, though, for being one of the first couple of SPD figures to release, I think this one they did a pretty good job of. The only real issues I have with this is the visor trim being towards the top half of the helmet and in silver, which is the wrong color. And the civilian head sculpt is just okay. I'm actually going to put that in A tier. What's really awesome about this figure, the weapons combined, which they don't do that very often in this line. They did it with the Mighty Morphin, weapons all combining together to make the big power blaster. And they did this with his weapons, which combined to make the longer form of his blaster. I would put him in S tier if those other two issues weren't as prevalent, but this figure turned out good. I was considering putting him in S tier, but again, I think those issues kind of bogged down SPD Red. Next up, let's look at a monster. This was a figure I wasn't going to purchase, but, those deep clearances, man, they get you. I got this guy for $11, King Sphinx. I didn't really understand just how big King Sphinx was until I got him in hand. As an action figure, just by itself, not in any context, I would put this in S tier. But because of just how big it is and how much space it takes up and how much taller he is compared to the regular Rangers, I think the scale really, it's just too big for King Sphinx. And I think that's the biggest reason why these have peg warmed, because they just made so many thinking, oh, these are going to do great, people are going to love them. And while I do like it, I don't love it. So it's not an S, it's not an A, it's a B for me. It's good, it's fine. It is missing paint on the nose and in the mouth area. It looks very bland and kind of weird. Also, the articulation's kind of limiting in a few places. They definitely did better monsters. Next up, Mighty Morphin Green. I don't own this figure. Really wish I did. Uh, I'm sure they're going to make a remastered version of this figure, which I will probably purchase, although that's going to sell in like 10 minutes due to the unfortunate passing of Jason David Frank. Rest in peace. I'm not sure how I feel about this figure. I think the biggest detriment to me is that it doesn't have the diamonds underneath the dragon shield. The helmet sculpt isn't great. The head sculpt is pretty good, and the accessories also are good. It comes with the dragon dagger as well as the sword of darkness. So I think because of those issues I listed, I'm gonna have to put him in B tier, but am gonna put him above King Sphinx. It's a fine figure, solid. I just not feeling it, you know. Zeo Gold, similar story. This was originally part of a Comic-Con exclusive in 2020. The Jason 2-pack for Mighty Morphin. I think the issue I have with this one, it's just one issue, but everything else is great, is that the staff is open on the top but closed on the bottom. As you can see in the thumbnail here, the middle section has that big part on it. This particular variation of it has never appeared in any form of media as far as I'm aware, so if it actually came with a more accurate version of the Zeo Gold staff, I would put this in S tier because otherwise it's a great figure, a good gold. It comes with a good looking civilian head sculpt for Treya Triforia, although given the triplets actions recently. Eh. Pumpkin Wrapper, I don't have this figure. He looks pretty cool. I'm going to put him above King Sphinx. I think his scale works better with these figures, but again, I don't have him. He is missing paint on his head, though, which I think is really needed. Like a simple wash would have done this figure a lot of good. The Mighty Morphin White restock. Let's go over this. This technically was a 2019 figure release, and I do own the 2019 version of the figure. The 2020 version is not different in any way in the slightest, so I'm not going to include him in this list either. So I'm going to put him down here. But if I was including him in this list, I think it's a great start to the line. Good figure. Head sculpt, really small, doesn't look great, but otherwise perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. Next up, Goldar. I don't have this figure. I actually have the GameStop exclusive figure that I got at a convention in 2022. This is basically the version without the wings, more based on the Season 1 version, has a better updated sword. Very good all around, part of a main wave though. I still think this is a good figure regardless of if he doesn't come with the wings. The only thing different between this version and the other version, like I said, doesn't come with the wings. The sword is a new mold. It comes with a different effect piece. I think it's a solid release, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, just in general. Like, he scales well with the the Lightning Collection Ranger figures. I I'm gonna put him in S tier. I'm okay with this. Time Force Red, man, he's got a few issues. Mine turned out okay, but again, we're not unless the quality control issues are widely prevalent. I'm not really going to discuss them in this video. But the major issue with this figure is that his visor outline is in silver, not white. And on the torso, the arrow line, not the arrowhead itself, but the line, way too small. Otherwise, I think this figure's perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with it. Head sculpt looks good. Helmet sculpt's great. I am going to put this in low A tier. All right, I think our first D tier one. Maybe actually no. Scratch that. Zeo Blue. Zeo Blue, Rocky, didn't come with his Tonfas, came in 2 years later with the individual Zeo Cog release. But the figure by itself, what you purchased, because it's lesser than the others, while very well painted, minus the silver trim on the visor again, he did come with the gold trim around the wrists, though. I am gonna have to put him in D tier. I don't think this is an F tier figure because with the tonfas, he's fine. But the head sculpt sucks. The paint chip's very easy. The visor is the wrong colored trim, but everything else is fine. Uh, I still recommend picking up this figure if you can easily get a Zeo cog, but oh well. Next up, Mighty Morphin Yellow Trini. I got the not Tanya. Who was before Tanya? Aisha, right? Aisha Campbell, yes, Aisha. I got the Aisha 2-pack version, which comes with all forms of the Blade Blaster, 2 effect pieces, basically same figure, but I'm going to put this in S tier. I think it's a good figure. I think the only issues I have with it is that this was back when the single jointed elbows were still a thing. Overall, though, I don't think it's nearly as bad as some of the later female figures or even earlier female figures in the line, but it's good. I don't have any issues with it. They did a great job on the likeness. Rest in peace. Yeah, overall good. I'm going to put that in S tier. Next up, the Psycho Ranger 5-pack. I know people had some issues with this. This is one I skipped on. I didn't have the money for it, and I regret it. But at some point, I may try to see if I can find one of these for a reasonably good deal. But what is good about this is that you get all 5 of them. Yellow and pink have never gotten a figure from Bandai during the Legacy era, so it's really nice that we got pink and yellow. However, red and blue came out before in a single pack and a 2-pack. Black, though, black, yellow, and pink all exclusive to this box set. Just because of those issues, and I think the helmet sculpts, they're not great. They could be better. I am going to put this in a C tier. I don't think it's as good as these monsters or Tommy. It's not a bad 5-pack. I'm glad it comes with all 5, but the fact that they basically re-released red and blue and stuck them in this pack kind of sucks. Eventually we're going to get to a point in the line where we're just buying duplicate figures, and I'm not ready for that. But, if you didn't buy those two, the 2-pack or the single release blue or red, then yeah, this is fine. But C tier for me. Next up, we have SPD Omega Ranger with Uniforce Cycle. The first vehicle I believe they ever got in the line. And while the figure itself has issues, I think this is one of the best figures they ever made in the line. It looks good, posability's great. The Uniforce Cycle, while it doesn't have like translucent plastic, I I just love it so much. The figure isn't accurate with the line design, and it doesn't continue to the back, but otherwise, I'm considering that he is the best of the year, but I do not know. Anyway, next up, a Walmart exclusive. Oh, that was an Amazon exclusive, by the way, as well as the Psycho Ranger 5-pack. Next up, we have a Walmart exclusive of Zordon and Alpha. While Alpha's good, Zordon's just okay. I mean, it lights up at the very least, and they only charged, I think, 30, 35 for this. I think this is better than Time Force Red, but I don't know. I think Zordon bogs it down, but the fact that he lights up kind of brings it back up. So let's put it in B tier for now. All right, next up, one of the most elusive figures in the line currently, Mighty Morphin Blue. I recently got this figure at or for $50, and it was leaked not too long after. They're doing a remastered Blue, which some people already got. Well, that figure looks great. I am still glad I got this version of Blue. He looks good on a shelf. I don't have to worry about getting another one. Other than the head sculpt and the helmet being a little too low on the neck, I think this is a great figure overall. I do think he's better than Time Force Blue, but not as good as Zeo Gold, so he goes in A tier. Next up, Ranger Slayer. I have no issues with this figure. No issues with standing her. Sculpt looks great. The fact you can take the cape off very easily, I like that. Uh, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this here because the only thing bogging this figure down is that it doesn't come with a Comic Kimberly head sculpt. But otherwise, great figure. Love it. I think a lot of people slept on this one. Next up, In Space Yellow. Barring one issue I have with this figure, I think that this is another S tier. Basically, on the suit designs on the torso, they have what I like to call a handkerchief. Basically, right underneath their neck, they have a yellow patch. Because she is a Yellow Ranger, they decided to use gold instead of yellow. But but other than that, I think it's a great figure. The likeness to the actress looks great. I don't have a problem with it. Frankly, good. Next up, I believe this was a Hasbro PulseCon exclusive. We have here a Lord Draken Evo 3. I do wish I picked this one up, but honestly, I'm not too sad I missed out on it. They did do a second run, but I still think this figure for what it was expensive. Basically, it came with like a tiny base that you could put, I think, 3 or 4 helmets on, as well as you could stick Saba with a removable Saba head on it, which was cool. A lot of tooling for this set, but I guess I'm just not feeling this one. I do I do somewhat wish I got it just for completionist sake in me, but I'm not too sad I missed out on it. The head sculpt looks great, helmet sculpt good. Uh, the issue with this one though is that it's kind of hard to keep the cape on, from my understanding, because of the dragon shield or the shielding that they use for this particular figure. Otherwise, perfectly good figure, and I am willing to put that. I'm gonna put that right above Time Force Red. I'm good with this. Next up, Andros and Astronema from In Space. Andros being the Red Ranger, Astronema being the blue-haired version. This was a good 2-pack. I found this for 20 bucks at a Meijer once. I think that this is one of the best 2-packs they've ever released, in my opinion. The head sculpts look good. The sculpt work of the actual figures looks good as well. I don't have any problems with this set as far as I'm aware, uh, other than, QC issues, but I'm willing to put this in A tier, right towards the top there. I think it was definitely worth the money that I spent on it. I mean, 20 bucks, come on. Next up, Zia Red. Man, they released a lot of Red Rangers this year. Jesus. I thought 20. Goodness. Anyway, not too much to go. Zia Red. Other than the face sculpt again, I think this is a perfect figure. It is missing the gold around its wrists, but that doesn't bug me. I'm gonna put this in a high A tier. I think it's that good. I really enjoy the figure. It looks good on the shelf. It has the right visor trim. Again, if the head sculpt was better, it'd probably be S tier, but it's not. Next up, Mighty Morphin Black, single card release. The head sculpt on this one's okay. It's not bad. I think it's worse than the Dreadlock version, which came with the Dragon Shield Black, which I do have. This also did have the incorrect helmet mold, which didn't look bad for its time, but having the updated one from the Atom version of the figure, this one looks a lot, or that one looks a lot better. So I think that otherwise, if you just wanted to have a Mighty Morphin Black in your collection, it's fine, but I think I'm going to have to put this right here. I still think Alpha and Zordon were better just because of the light up function alone. Next up, Z Putty, mostly a reuse of the Putty Patroller and the uh, Fighting Spirit Green Putty 2-pack, but recolored and new molds for the knees as well as the torso. And it is a good army builder. I do wish they made this a little cheaper than the rest of the figures, like the Putty Patroller pack was. I think this otherwise this was a good figure, still widely available, easy to purchase on most retailers. I'm willing to put that in S tier. I don't have it. I would definitely like to pick up at least one of those. Anyway, next up, Lord Zed, Rita Repulsa GameStop exclusive 2-pack. This was, I think, one of the first couple of Lightning Collection figures I got in 2021, and I think it's a good 2-pack. The box design is nice. I'm going to miss these open boxed packages, or rather the window packages. Lord Zed, slightly updated from the single card release, and it's probably the best version that we got. Rita is good. It is the wedding version of the figure, and I don't particularly love the head sculpt, but it's still very representative of the character. And this comes with a ton of accessories. 50 bucks got you a lot back in the day. And I would put this above the Omega figure because it just came with a lot. It looks good. We haven't had a Rita and Zed release since then, and I don't know if we ever will, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's an S tier in my opinion. All right, next up, we got some more exclusives. 3 more exclusives here, and a couple more down here. Dino Charge Black. This is an S tier for me. It's a very well done figure. Perfect, absolutely perfect facial likeness to the actor. Like, you couldn't get any more uncanny than this figure. The only issue was they never announced it before it actually showed up in stores. Eventually, I found this figure in a vintage toy store for $10 with all the accessories. I couldn't have been more happy because this figure is very elusive. A lot of the Dino Charge figures very elusive. This one especially. Probably the most elusive figure, although it did get a release from, I think, Entertainment Earth. Like, they just somehow got their hands on some, but great figure. The only major issue is that they painted uh, the belt wrong. It should be silver on black. They painted it black on silver, but otherwise, great figure. If you can find it for cheap, get it because it's a beautiful figure. I really enjoy it, and that's what kicked off Dino Charge collecting for me in this line. Next up, Walgreens exclusive. Ugh. Dino Thunder White. Dino Thunder White is many people's favorite suit designs. And while the figure itself was good, the accessories really good. The helmet, man. So the helmet you had to get a replacement from Hasbro, which they are still offering if you are able to purchase this figure from like eBay or you get it from a friend that never got the replacement helmet. It's it's a great figure. The fact that you have to ask for a replacement helmet, though, which they will still send you, is good. But because of that whole snafu, I have to put him. I'm going to put him at the top of A tier. Again, great figure. Just sucks that, especially if you're overseas, they don't always do replacement helmets over there. Next up, a Pulse exclusive, which is very hard to find. Psycho Green. Psycho Green was a comic exclusive character, and then this was the first ever, or no, this was the second figure that was ever released of Psycho Green because they did do a legacy version. I forgot about that until just now. Uh, I did see this once in the wild. I don't know if it's still there. I hope it is, but they were asking 70 for it, which is just a little out of my price range. Uh, I mean, it's another reuse of the Psycho Green mold, or Psycho Ranger mold, rather. But it does come with a nice power dagger looking thing. But otherwise, I don't think this figure's all that great. You're not really missing out on anything. It was never shown in the actual TV show or even the movies. I mm, I think it is very representative of the character. I don't think he had an alternate head in the comic book. I do not know. So I'm actually gonna put him at the top of B tier just because he's a bit not super relevant in the operations of the figure. This next figure I think is a sleeper hit. It was part of the main waves, but Cybervillain Blaze. I think he's still pretty available to get in the line as well. Other than a few missing paint apps, it's an S tier for me. I only watched the show for a couple episodes, and I'm just like, I can't get into this. Like, I want to get into it, but I got this figure very cheaply, or rather, it was a gift, but like, it was like 12 bucks on GameStop. So, like, come on, right? Great figure, comes with a good amount of accessories. The actor likeness is spot on, just like Chase was. It's an S tier for me. Just really good figure. People slept on it. You may still be able to get it. I don't know, but great figure. Now, I know what you're thinking right now, alternate boxes. I put the original SPD Blue 2-pack box down here. That's because I don't have it. I actually have the Spectrum box. This was my third and fourth figure I got in 2021 from the line, and I was happy to see that it was a Spectrum box. I think that this is a very good 2-pack. Very good 2-packs this year. Only two, but you know what I mean. I think that if SPD A Squad Blue had a civilian or an unhelmeted head, as well as his visor being completely in silver, this would be an easy S tier. But because it has such issue, you know, being the first of its kind, it's just okay. I really liked getting both of these figures, and SPD A Squad Blue was fun to play around with. It's very good for custom kit bashing. But just because of those issues I listed, I'm going to have to put them... I'm going to put them above Draken 3 in A tier. I think it's good, but definitely better. You know what? I'm dropping him down to right here. Yeah, I'm good with this. So he goes down to B tier. But the A Squad Blue 2-pack and B Squad Blue 2-pack, just eh. All right, last thing to rank. The last thing, and I don't own this, is the Putty Patrol 2-pack. 2 figures, good amount of accessories. It was cheap. Now it's like impossible to find. I really wish I could find this, but I don't know where it is. I'm going to put it in A tier. And you know what? I'm actually going to put it right there. Let's double check our list here and see if I want to change anything. I'm going to move them up actually. And you know, I think I'm happy with this. So that's my tier list for 2020. I didn't have any figures to review. Trying to save my money for other things. But anyway, I think that this is how I would rank all of the 2020 figure releases. A lot of good stuff this year, not a lot of bad stuff. And stuff I didn't purchase and stuff I don't want to rank because this was 2019 and these are role play items and I don't collect the role play items, so I don't, you know, feel like I have a say in those. But what do you guys think of this list? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. All of those help out my channel tremendously, and I appreciate every time you guys do that. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, y'all. And as always,